ABC Radio Hobart. The government has announced it will sell Crown land at Wilkinsons Point till the LK Group. Larry Kesselman, the former owner of the Jack Jumpers. The proposed redevelopment of Wilkinsons Point in the area of the Derwent Entertainment Centre and the Glenorchy Arts and Sculpture Park seems to be finally progressing. 5 years after the government signed an agreement with Larry Kesselman, former owner of the Jack Jumpers. So they'll sell the land to the LK Group for an amount decided by the Valuer General. And they will invest around $12 million into the site as well. Now, Bec Thomas is the member for Elwick in the Legislative Council and joins me. Good afternoon.
Hi, Kylie.
So the agreement between government and Larry Kesselman from 5 years ago, what information is public in relation to that agreement?
Well, look, Kylie, to start, I just want to be clear that I'm really excited about LK Group's plans to develop Wilkinsons Point, and I think our community is excited about that as well. And I'm just as excited today as I was when the concept plans were presented to Council 5 years ago, when I was part of the Glenorchy Planning Authority that approved the specific area plan to enable the use of the area for hotel and retail purposes, which at that time wasn't an approved use. So then COVID hit and there were some doubts about whether the development will go ahead, and I think our community's been wondering for 5 years. So it's really pleasing to see LK Group honouring its commitment to develop this land. But the local community and indeed all Tasmanians deserve to know more about the terms and conditions of the land sale and the agreement between government and LK Group more broadly. And I'm going to be asking some really specific questions and doing all I can to make sure that information is provided and that it is a fair deal for my local community and for all Tasmanians, because so far details on the specifics of the deal are quite scant.
And so just for clarity, the Crown land will be sold to the LK Group, but the government has said the particulars are still being finalised. Do you know if the valuation of the land has actually been done?
I'm not sure if it's been finalised in recent times or if it's underway. So we need to remember this development was all wrapped up in the LK Group's sales pitch, if you like, to the government for the establishment of the Jack Jumpers for the NBL team back in 2020. So it started with Glenorchy City Council selling the land and the Derwent Entertainment Centre, the land at Wilkinsons Point and the Derwent Entertainment Centre, importantly minus 20 metres of foreshore land, which was retained by council to safeguard the public access to that land. That was really important to our community at the time, was that public could retain access to that Garth's boardwalk and the foreshore around to Wilkinsons Point. But the proposed development of the land, I guess, that LK Group were proposing at the time could be considered in some ways, I guess, a sweetener for the government sponsoring the Jack Jumpers and investing in upgrades to the then Derwent Entertainment Centre that were required to be up to standard for an NBL team to be reintroduced to Tasmania, and for, I guess, generally more concerts and other entertainment to be attracted to the MyState Bank Arena. But at that time, that whilst the terms of the agreement to support the Jack Jumpers and for the upgrade of the MyState Bank Arena were finalised in 2020, there was discussion about the sale of the land, and I understand from the information I can find from Public Works Committee hearings back in 2020, there were term sheets drawn up, but there wasn't an agreement actually finalised back in 2020 for that part of the deal. So I'm not sure that a deal has specifically been finalised, and that's certainly what I'll be asking. Back then it said that the LK Group was to pay the Tasmanian government $6 million for development land with titles to transfer at a time within the next 5 years when a range of agreed conditions have been satisfied. So I'll be asking, what were these terms and conditions, and can Tasmanians be assured that they have been satisfied? What are the terms and conditions of the final deal, and what is the final sale price? And importantly, is there a buyback clause if the development doesn't proceed?
My guest is Bec Thomas, member for Elwick in the Legislative Council. Now, the new development is slated to include a multi-use retail precinct, so lots of shops, a family resort and a hotel complex. So what difference will this actually make for the northern suburbs? Is that something that you're concerned about?
Oh, look, I'm excited about it. A $500 million development provides a huge boost to our local economy, to jobs, local jobs for local people, new retail, hospitality and tourism offerings, significantly uplift the area for locals and visitors, really helping to realise Glenorchy's true potential. And this is something that Glenorchy City Council has put a lot into work into, over some years, particularly around that 2020 period, working the planning team there, working hard on the master plan for the area, and seeing it really as a sporting and entertainment precinct. That whole area has just such potential to thrive.
Now, Larry Kestelman was on Statewide Mornings with Leon Compton today, and Leon asked him if he had considered providing more sports grounds.
I can understand that the local Tasmanian people can find lots of different use for all different infrastructure projects, whether it be hospitals, housing, community courts. I think there's always lots of things that need to be considered, and that's why I leave that to the government. I'm not actually saying that there needs to be an expansion, or there has to be an expansion. I think it's something that should be seriously considered. I think government's job is to make those decisions and build infrastructure, long-term investment in the state. I think everywhere in the world, in Australia, that's a big part of a government's job, to make those decisions on major infrastructure projects that will bring benefit to the community long term.
And that was Larry Kestelman there speaking to Leon Compton on the morning's program. Now, Bec Thomas, you're calling for assurances that young people can have access to sports fields and courts. So what should this redevelopment include?
Look, I think the redevelopment as proposed is really exciting, but I am concerned about the lack of sporting facilities, and I'm a huge Jack Jumpers fan, Kylie, and I'm really grateful for what the Jack Jumpers have brought to Tasmania, and for what Larry Kesselman, as owner of the NBL and a former owner of the Jack Jumpers, has provided by the amazing achievements of the Jack Jumpers. And I do support government investment in professional sport, but I'll continue to strongly urge the government to prioritise the development of grassroots courts so we can have future Jack Jumpers bred here in Tasmania. Kids need somewhere to play. Basketball Tasmania recently launched their facility strategy, which says we have currently have a shortage of 31 courts, including 16 in Greater Hobart. I know the Glenorchy Basketball Association turned kids away because there's not enough courts to play. So government needs to prioritise alongside private-public partnerships for development and investment in elite sport. It really needs to prioritise community sport, and I'll continue to be a strong advocate for that. And I won't hesitate to be throwing away cheeky lines like maybe some of the profits from the sale of the Jack Jumpers could be invested in some community sport facilities as well, because that would also be a public-private partnership.
What about this idea? Someone said, what about a new public swimming pool to be included in the area? What do you think about that, Bec Thomas?
Oh, look, well, I was really pleased just before I departed as Mayor to be able to secure $5 million to redevelop the Glenorchy pool.
Is that enough money, though? It was great, but is it actually enough?
It is to repair it. Yeah, absolutely. So council now is, not that I'm the spokesperson of the council, and they're doing a great job, though, of I think it's soon out for tender, or already out for tender, to be repaired with that $5 million to be reopened for the public, while council continues to seek federal funding to be able to have a long-term facility developed.
Well, look, thank you for joining me. We'll have to leave it there, but definitely an interesting conversation, and everybody will be keeping a close eye on this one. Thank you.
Thanks, Kylie.
Bec Thomas, their member for Elwick in the Legislative Council.